Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Rogue Valley Country Club and coverage of a very special presentation on TableRockSports.net tonight. This is the 2019 Black Tornado Wall of Fame Induction Banquet taking place, as I mentioned, here at the Country Club tonight. We're gathering to bring 13 more outstanding Black Tornado athletes and special contributors into the Medford Sports Hall of Fame, the Black Tornado Sports Hall of Fame, I should say. And this culminates a year-long process by which Larry Binney, the chair of the Wall of Fame Organizing Committee, along with his helpful group of Ralph Burrell, Patrick Grady, Jim McAbee, Gary Miller, Tim Sam, and Jim Wise, have put together this fantastic evening where many connections are being made. Some folks who have not seen each other for quite some time are going to get a chance to rekindle some old memories, maybe tell some old sports stories to each other as we go along the way tonight. And just remember what a great process it was to be part of the Black Tornado family of athletes and coaches and be part of that special tradition that has certainly been a fabric of the Medford community for years and years. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Brett. Sitting next to me and operating the camera and running the show for us technically to bring the stream for you tonight is Christopher Janish. And, of course, this event and all of the things we do at Table Rock Sports are brought to you by our title sponsor, Lithia Superstore, and the presenting sponsor, U.S. Cellular, Siskiyou Cellular, locally with 7 outlets locally, and all our other great sponsors who, of course, bring you the games each Friday night. We just opened a great season one night ago with 6 games throughout the state of Oregon, all over the state of Oregon, and got our teams off to a start. And we'll have, of course, coverage of the fall football, boys and girls soccer, and volleyball seasons ahead for a number of our local schools and expanding coverage this year coming your way this fall. But tonight we focus our attention and our efforts this evening on the Black Tornado inductees. 13 members to join the nearly 120 who already have their names on this wall. And again, it's a rekindling of relationships and friendships and memories from many, many years that will come together tonight. And a couple of our inductees are going to be brought onto the hall as posthumously, and that will certainly add a bittersweet tone to things tonight. But remembering their accomplishments and their great friendships and those things will certainly also give us a little bit of good memories that to lean on as well as we remember those going into the hall that are not going to be able to be here with us this evening. So it's can just tell you from milling around a little bit and saying hello to everyone that this promises to be a really special evening, and we're glad that you're with us here on TableRockSports.net to share in it, and we'll be here until the final inductee is done tonight. Now, I want to let you know, just for programming purposes, if you're catching our prelude here and our introduction, we're going to step away for just a while because the dinner hour is about to start. We're in our social time, and the dinner hour is about to be with us. Larry Binney will come on, have some opening comments for us, and then we'll break to actually eat our dinner, and then we'll be back and start the program. It looks like about the 5:45 mark is when we'll get things started. Have a little bit of a program there for about 10 minutes while we present the colors and do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll take a break at 5:55 for dinner and then be back about 45 minutes later at 6:40. The main program will start at 6:40, and the 13 inductees will come to the podium and get their much-deserved recognition. So thanks again for joining us. We'll step aside back at about 5:45 for the welcome from Larry Binney. 6:40 tonight is when the main portion of the program will start, and we'll be streaming live from here, and you'll see and hear it all. So stay with us, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Let's go!
At US Cellular, we heard you. You want a wireless plan that works for you. That's why we're giving you unlimited data for just $30 on a network ranked #1 in network quality performance. All that and no hidden fees. That's the best value in wireless. That work for you? US Cellular. Choose fair.
For the best deals in wireless on a network that works in the middle of anywhere, visit Siskiyou Cellular, your local U.S. Cellular agent. 7 locations, including Central Point off Plaza Boulevard.
Doctors James Savage and Rajiv Rajagopal are happy to welcome Dr. Brian Clevenger to the Associates for Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Their offices in Medford, Grants Pass, and Klamath Falls practice a full scope of services, from corrective jaw surgery to wisdom teeth removal and much more. For more information or to schedule your complimentary dental implant consultation, call 541-779-3600. 3781.
For several weeks, the Southern Oregon Sports Commission has shown you examples of good sportsmanship and bad sportsmanship. Here's why. 75% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13 because they're not having fun. 75% of rookie referees also quit each year. Why? Well, it's because of the way they're treated by coaches and parents. We can do better. We must do better. Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
I'm Pat Cox with Sherm's Food Stores. The employees of Sherm's are proud to be part of your community.
We have thousands of customers in our stores every day, and our checkers know a lot of them on a first name basis. They tend to enjoy what they do and they love it, so it reflects in how they treat the customer.
If you live anywhere in Southern Oregon, there's a Sherm's store near you. We hope to see you soon.
If you shop with us, you will save money.
Let's go!
Hello, I'm Officer Mike Jackson, Medford Police Department School Resource Officer for South Medford High School, as well as 5 elementary schools nearby. With 5 resource officers working in partnership with Medford schools, safety is a top priority and essential to promoting a positive learning environment. SROs receive specialized training in how to communicate with students in a school setting and also teach classes to students, staff, and parents on important safety issues. I'm School Resource Officer Mike Jackson, working to ensure the safety of our students.
The Associates for Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery provide professional, personal, and compassionate care for their patients. Their offices in Medford, Grants Pass, and Klamath Falls practice the full scope of services, from corrective jaw surgery to wisdom teeth removal and much more. For more information or to schedule your complimentary dental implant consultation, call 541-779-3781.
I'm Pat Cox with Sherm's Food Stores. The employees of Sherm's are proud to be part of your community.
We have thousands of customers in our stores every day, and our checkers know a lot of them on a first name basis. They tend to enjoy what they do and they love it, so it reflects in how they treat the customer.
If you live anywhere in Southern Oregon, there's a Sherm's store near you. We hope to see you soon.
If you shop with us, you will save money.
Yeah.
How have you found Medford, and how's the transition been?
The whole Medford community has been incredibly welcoming and supportive, and I've loved to see how this entire community rallies around our schools. I mean, it's just such good things happening for kids all over this community. It's good stuff.
What did you see about the district that presented opportunities you're interested in, challenges maybe that you'll face here in Medford?
Yeah, a lot of great things already happening for students here in this school district. I mean, some of the work around pathways is really incredible, and opportunities for kids to get involved early on to see, am I interested in a particular field or not, and learning that is really incredible here in the district. Yep. And then we have a great board of directors who is very interested in how do we ensure that our students are ready for whatever their next step is? And we talk about having every option open for them. And so that's important too, to have a board that understands that it's got to be always about the students. And then I've gotten to know a lot of the staff here in the district, and whether they're in the classroom or coaching, or they're at central office, or frankly in cafeterias or driving a bus. These are folks who are focused on the students. And so having that opportunity to work with these adults who are so interested in ensuring that our students are successful is just a joy. And so it has been part of my very fortunate career to be able to work in districts where that's been the case, and that's certainly the case here too. And so I was very interested in doing that in a little bit different locale here in Southern Oregon, which has been a joy as well.
Excellent. Heard great things about your visits to Kids Unlimited and Logos to charter schools.
Sure.
School is a little different as we go forward. Meeting the needs of kids, so that's a neat opportunity within the district, a new opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So this idea of options for kids is something that is very exciting to me. We know that as adults, we like having options whenever we make choices about a variety of things, and the same should be true for our parents and for our students as well. Within a system, having opportunities for students to explore a variety of things, whether, to your point, whether it is in a different environment, a particular different school, or whether it is within our traditional schools, having options for kids is always a good thing. And frankly, it leads to a more quality education because then the student's able to get in and experiment with some things. And it's not just finding things they love. That's exciting, of course.
Yep.
But equally exciting is when kids get into something and realize, I hate this. You know, I mean, how much better to discover that when you're 16?
They call that math. Right?
No. How much better to discover that you think you want to be a vet, and instead of figuring out at 26, after you've invested in all the schooling, that I don't really like this. How much better when you're 16 to say, this is gross. I don't want to deal with this. I mean, no offense to vet folks. I appreciate those guys. But again, we want to make sure that there are options for kids in a variety of places, not just high school either.
Yeah.
One of the things we talk about, I love the staff here in the Medford School District, talking to some elementary teachers recently, this idea of making sure that students are building relationships with each other in our classrooms is so important because we're a relationship business. I mean, that's what we're all about. And so part of our work with social emotional learning and ensuring that our kids are knowing how to get along with each other, and part of that is in this whole idea of choice.
Thank you. Just thank you. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, this is Adam, take 2. Mark?
I guess.
I go like this.
The best part about playing football in Texas has to be the reaction from the community.
I want to encourage others to play volleyball or choir because you get to experience new things and do stuff that you've never done before. My reason why is passion.
My reason why is pride.
What is a role model? A person looked to by others as an example to be imitated. What is sportsmanship? Fair and generous behavior or treatment of others, especially in a sports contest. This new school year, we want children to enjoy their experience in organized athletics. Let's pledge to make lifelong positive memories for our youth and know your role.
Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
I was talking to Bill.
Yeah?
Bill and Sherry got a guy.
They do? How did they get a guy?
Everything happened online, including financing. And their guy even delivered their new car to their home.
Maybe we should get a guy.
I thought you might say that. Honey, meet Kyle.
Find your guy during the Ram Power Days going on now at Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Medford and on lithiasuperstore.com. Not a dealership, a partnership.
This year, don't just replace your windows, renew them with beautiful and energy-efficient windows from Bill's Glass. Having new windows installed by Bill's Glass dramatically update and improves the look of your home and helps reduce energy bills year-round. Let Bill's Glass show you what you've been missing. Bill's Glass, the largest glass company in Southern Oregon for your home or auto, as well as the trusted industry leader for over 40 years. Bill's Glass in Ashland and Medford, and now Bill's Glass in Grants Pass.
My Circle K is your on-the-go tailgate headquarters. Whether it's a home game or a road game, when you need a big play, call on My Circle K. From their always fresh premium brewed coffee, ice-cold fountain drinks and sodas, fresh made-for-travel deli items. When it comes to special teams, nothing is more special than My Circle K's Kickback Reward Program. Rewards every purchase, every time. Find them, follow them, throw a tailgate party with them. MyCircleK.com.
It takes meticulous planning, continuous monitoring, and forward thinking to deliver the perfect 3-egg omelet.
Dear Dad, I was afraid to say this to your face, but I heard you yelling again from the stands during my game. You were shouting at the coach, the refs, even the other parents. It embarrasses me when you yell at everyone. It really stresses me out. I love sports, I love my team, I just want to play, but not if you always lose your temper. Love, Katie.
Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
There's a time machine, not so far away, that takes you back to a world just a few streets wide, where wonder rules the day and families are transformed, from the smallest bug-eyed explorer to that surliest know-it-all. So dive into the past and let them see the world through a simpler lens called Southern Oregon. Their adventure begins when you travel Medford.
I was talking to Bill.
Yeah?
Bill and Sherry got a guy.
They do? How did they get a guy?
Everything happened online, including financing. And their guy even delivered their new car to their home.
Maybe we should get a guy.
I thought you might say that. Honey, meet Kyle.
Find your guy during the Ram Power Days going on now at Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Medford and on lithiasuperstore.com. Not a dealership, a partnership.
This year, don't just replace your windows, renew them with beautiful and energy-efficient windows from Bill's Glass. Having new windows installed by Bill's Glass dramatically update and improves the look of your home and helps reduce energy bills year-round. Let Bill's Glass show you what you've been missing. Bill's Glass, the largest glass company in Southern Oregon for your home or auto, as well as the trusted industry leader for over 40 years. Bill's Glass in Ashland and Medford, and now Bill's Glass in Grants Pass.
I was talking to Bill.
Yeah?
Bill and Sherry got a guy.
They do? How did they get a guy?
Everything happened online, including financing. And their guy even delivered their new car to their home.
Maybe we should get a guy.
I thought you might say that. Honey, meet Kyle.
Find your guy during the Ram Power Days going on now at Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Medford and on lithiasuperstore.com. Not a dealership, a partnership.
This year, don't just replace your windows, renew them with beautiful and energy-efficient windows from Bill's Glass. Having new windows installed by Bill's Glass dramatically update and improves the look of your home and helps reduce energy bills year-round. Let Bill's Glass show you what you've been missing. Bill's Glass, the largest glass company in Southern Oregon for your home or auto, as well as the trusted industry leader for over 40 years.
I know there's a few people still online, but please get your seats. Thank you. Russ Sponsor and Singer. Gotta tune these guys up, you know. All right, thank you. Got a few announcements, and we want to get started with the program. The dinner's ready, and I'm going to try to make my part of this real short. First of all, welcome to tonight's Black Tornado Wall of Fame induction banquet. My name's Larry Binney, chairman of a tremendous committee of people. Unfortunately, 3 of our committee members couldn't be here tonight. Jim McAbee, Gary Miller, and Ralph Burrell just had other things going on with family and stuff like that. But in attendance here tonight. Over one of these tables, Jim Wise, one of our members, Tim Sam, who was a former AD and in an inductee tonight, is on our committee, and then Patrick Grady, North Medford Athletic Director. And we've been working since January, meeting once or twice a month to put on this event. And I just want to thank the committee, just a great group of people to work with. So thank you for those that are here. I want to thank our corporate sponsors, A+ Pools, that's David and Aaron McGee, former Black Tornado students, Southern Oregon Sports Commission, Travel Medford, Angela Wood and her staff. I think, yeah, we got your sign over there, Angela, but so thank you for that. And Lithia Kids, Brian DeBoer and their group sponsor, support kids. The people that we're honoring tonight are not kids anymore, but they were getting honored with, they were kids at one time. So thank you to our major sponsors. Let's give them a hand, please. We also have 5 table sponsors, Black Tornado, ASA Softball, and our entire board is here, kind of table 17 in the back. And I want to thank you folks. Get choked up. I love these people. They've done so much for softball. Thank you. Cow Creek Tribe, Jill Tomey, thank you. The Folsom family, who's, I see some of them just coming in. J.B. Steele and the Botcher family, table sponsors, and Southern Oregon ABA. And Nikki, I apologize, I don't even know what ABA stands for. But thank you for those people for being table sponsors. I'd also like to thank the Rogue Valley Country Club, Emily Danner and her staff. Just so that you folks know, Table Rock Sports is broadcasting this event, and you can watch it at tablerocksports.net. Tonight we have Joe Brett, Pete Belcast. Is Pete here? I haven't seen Pete yet. And Chris Janich. And they're, you can watch this on, you know, when you go home tonight or later on YouTube. Is that right, Chris? If you go to tablerocksports.net, you could, you might want to miss the first 5 minutes of me talking. but other than that, it's going to be pretty darn good. Anyway, and then we have a photographer, Jerry Katz, and he's going to be taking pictures throughout the evening for you inductees. After you come up and say a few words, some of you will be coming up from this side of the stage, some of you from this side. If you'd exit this way and then stand in front of the media screen over there with the Black Tornado media screen, then he'll take a picture of you with your plaque. And then I know this is a big, big honor. And then you get the picture taken with me and the plaque. So that's one you're going to treasure. I mean, that's a big deal, I know. This Black Tornado Wall of Fame started 5 years ago, and Ralph Burrell, Jim McAdee, myself, and Tim Sam were just a 4-person committee. It was a brainchild of Tim Sam's to have an event like this and honor Black Tornado athletes. And so what we did, we went back through the Medford Sports Hall of Fame, which is on display in the back, and anybody that had ties to the Black Tornado, and some of these folks went back to the 20s and 30s and 40s, were athletes and went on to accomplish lots of things. So we grandfathered in just a little over 100 people. Now we didn't honor them, but we did send them a plaque, and we sent relatives plaques of some of those that have passed on. But that's how this started 5 years ago. Now we have 120 members because we had that first induction, and I think there was 13, and then obviously there'll be 13 more inducted tonight to join that group. So at this time, whether you're a member of the Black Tornado Wall of Fame or maybe the Medford Sports Hall of Fame, I wonder if we could have those people just stand for a minute, please. Anybody, including you current inductees. So anybody that's a Black Tornado Hall of Famer, Wall of Famer, stand up. Come on, there's more of them here. Thank you. And right now, too, we would like to honor any veterans or first responders. Could those folks please stand up? If you're a veteran, come on, I know some of you World War II guys were friends of mine. Come on, stand up. All veterans. I get choked up here. Special shout out to the 2019 National Champion SOU softball team. Congratulations to Coach Jessica Pistol, who is now down at University of San Diego, but the new head coach, Mike Maybin, is here in attendance. And one of the SOU players, Taylor Maybin. So, congratulations. And also, Coach Turner couldn't be here tonight, but I want to congratulate the football team for a big opening win. And it was nice to be able to play a game on opening weekend and not have smoke. Couple special guests, and there's a lot of special people in this room, but a couple people I want to acknowledge. Former principal of mine at Hedrick, and I think 1 year interim principal at North Medford, Ron Williams. Ron, can you? Here's Ron. In my 32 years in the district, I had 8 principals, and Ron was the best. And I had some good principals. He was the best. First one in the building, last one to leave, and always there in the hallways at Hedrick, making sure things were going right between classes. And also the best secretary ever, his wife, Sharon. I was lucky to work with some really good secretaries, but Sharon, thank you. Also in attendance, Dr. Steve Wisely, and Dr. Wisely was superintendent here 18 years of my 32 years, and I think he's the second longest tenured superintendent behind E.H. Hedrick, but he and his wife Shar are here tonight. Our district athletic director, Amy Tiger, North Principal, Dr. Dan Smith, and our new superintendent is Dr. Champion here. Dr. Champion. Dr. Champion, we haven't had a chance to meet, but I've heard lots of great things in your short time here, and looking forward to meeting with you, and just letting you know in front of God and everybody, we like athletics here in Medford, Oregon. I'd like everybody to please now stand as the Medford Police Department Honor Guard presents the colors, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing for our invocation. Shoulder guard, left hand, forward, forward. Mark time, forward. Ready, pull, left, hey. Present, pull. please remain standing as Mike Maybin Sr. leads us in an invocation.
I know I won't be able to get as choked up as Larry does, but I'd like to say it's a real honor to be able to come here tonight with all of you. In my 64 years here in the Valley, I can actually say and look around the room and say, without some of you even knowing it, a lot of you have inspired and blessed my life, and so I just want to start by saying thank you very much. Let's bow our heads and let's pray. Father, again, thank you for your love and the blessing that you pour out on all of us here tonight, every day. Thank you for all the gifts and talents and opportunities that you so freely give to so many of us here in our community. Thank you for the honorees tonight, that we might celebrate their accomplishments and legacy that have blessed and inspired so many here in our community. We thank you for their talents and opportunities that not only blessed them, but made our lives that much richer in the process. We ask that your blessing be on those honored here tonight, along with their family and friends, that I am sure the honorees would say contributed so much to their success. We pray that the legacy of those honored tonight might continue to motivate, bless, and inspire future athletes, coaches, ADs, and contributors to our sports family here in the Valley. We thank you for those who have worked so hard to make this night possible. We ask that you might bless them along with the wonderful meal that we're about to eat tonight. Now, Lord, may you bless the rest of this evening. May everything that we say and do show our thankfulness for the good gifts, talents, and moments that we have enjoyed. As your word says, every good and perfect gift comes from above, from you, the Father of lights. And we thank you for the rest of this evening in his name. Amen.
Okay, please be seated. We're going to dismiss by tables, and the food is ready for us. We're going to go in order. We're going to dismiss 4 tables at a time, and I'll have somebody, my wife, Marnie, is back there by the back door. Maybe she can give me the high sign when it's time to get the next tables moving. Some of you at the back of the table may be still eating dinner when we start the, I'll introduce the Master of Ceremonies, Mark Bayless, after most of us are through the dinner line, and then he's going to introduce our guest speaker, and then we'll start with the induction. So at this time, tables 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you folks, I got to make sure Johnny gets a meal first. Right out loud. If I made Johnny wait another 5 minutes, we'd be in trouble. Anyway, tables 1 through 5. Hustle on out there, quickly through the line. If some of you didn't get a beverage, this would be a good time to get it, but we're going to make things move.
have you found Medford, and how's the transition been?
The whole Medford community has been incredibly welcoming and supportive, and I've loved to see how this entire community rallies around our schools. I mean, it's just such good things happening for kids all over this community. It's good stuff.
What did you see about the district that presented opportunities you're interested in, challenges maybe that you'll face here in Medford?
Yeah, a lot of great things already happening for students here in this school district. I mean, some of the work around pathways is really incredible, and opportunities for kids to get involved early on to see, am I interested in a particular field or not, and learning that is really incredible here in the district. Yep. And then we have a great board of directors who is very interested in how do we ensure that our students are ready for whatever their next step is. And we talk about having every option open for them. And so that's important too, to have a board that understands that it's got to be always about the students. And then I've gotten to know a lot of the staff here in the district, and whether they're in the classroom or coaching, or they're at central office, or frankly in cafeterias or driving a bus. These are folks who are focused on the students, and so having that opportunity to work with these adults who are so interested in ensuring that our students are successful is just a joy. And so it has been part of my very fortunate career to be able to work in districts where that's been the case, and that's certainly the case here too. And so I was very interested in doing that in a little bit different locale here in Southern Oregon, which has been a joy as well.
Excellent. Heard great things about your visits to Kids Unlimited and Logos to charter schools.
Sure.
School is a little different as we go forward. Meeting the needs of kids, so that's a neat opportunity within the district, a new opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So this idea of options for kids is something that is very exciting to me. We know that as adults, we like having options whenever we make choices about a variety of things, and the same should be true for our parents and for our students as well. Within a system, having opportunities for students to explore a variety of things, whether, to your point, whether it is in a different environment, a particular different school, or whether it is within our traditional schools, having options for kids is always a good thing. And frankly, it leads to a more quality education, because then the student's able to get in and experiment with some things. And it's not just finding things they love. That's exciting, of course. Yep. But equally exciting is when kids get into something and realize, I hate this. You know, I mean, how much better to discover that when you're 16?
They call that math. Right?
No. How much better to discover that you think you want to be a vet, and instead of figuring out at 26, after you've invested in all the schooling, that I don't really like this, how much better when you're 16 to say, this is gross, I don't want to deal with this. I mean, no offense to vet folks, I appreciate those guys, but again, we want to make sure that there are options for kids in a variety of places, not just high school either. Yeah. One of the things we talk about, I love the staff here in the Medford School District, talking to some elementary teachers recently, this idea of making sure that students are building relationships with each other in our classrooms is so important, because we're a relationship business. I mean, that's what we're all about. And so part of our work with social emotional learning and ensuring that our kids are knowing how to get along with each other, and part of that is in this whole idea of choice.
warning to be in your seats. 2 minutes. If you're not in your seats in 2 minutes, I'm going to have to throw a yellow flag at you.
Very good, already.
Okay, we'd like to get the program started, so if you could get in your seats, we appreciate it. One of the things that I forgot about, and somebody called me the other day, and somebody who has a daughter that was being inducted, wasn't making a comment about her daughter, just said, hey, why are some of these older guys, now no offense, Russ, but hey, why wasn't this person inducted, a lot sooner? And that was a legitimate question. The organizing committee just tries to organize the event, and we have an anonymous selection committee, and it's kind of a list of who's who in Medford sports. There's a friend of mine that's on that I see at the gym every morning at 5 o'clock. He graduated from Medford High in '51. He was not an athlete, but he started watching guys play in the 40s, and he's kind of like B.G. Gould. He knows everybody's name in this town, and he knows who the good ones were. So there's a selection committee that's anonymous for obvious reasons, and we don't want somebody, mom or dad, upset because so-and-so didn't get in. And then the organizing committee, but there's some people in this room who I personally feel should be nominated that are not in the Hall of Fame. And so just for your information, for the inductees today, 2 years from now, the Medford Sports Hall of Fame has their induction. And I know Ed Singler and I and Chuck Ross, Craig Nips, Greg Costanzo, there's several of us are on that organizing committee. And so I would like to see some of these people being honored tonight. Get your resume put together, have somebody nominate you. The forms are very similar. It's not a guarantee that you would get into the Medford Sports Hall of Fame, and it's not a guarantee that you get into the Black Tornado Wall of Fame, but somebody needs to nominate you. So there's people in this room that I said, hey, you should be in the Medford Sports Hall of Fame, and they were extremely humble. And fortunately, somebody, a friend or an ex-coach or somebody did nominate him. And I there's a tremendous group of athletes, men and women here, some as young as, about 28, and some about pushing 60 a little bit. But some of those that are pushing 60 certainly could have been in my opinion, a long time ago. You just need to nominate somebody. So think about those of you that have lived here in the valley for a long time, and there's some people that I know should be in, but it's not Larry Vinny's job to go nominate everybody. So that's coming up in 2000. Eddie, help me out. 2022. Because the last Medford Sports Hall of Fame was 2017. I think that's correct. Anyway, be thinking about that. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's Master of Ceremonies, Mark Bayless. Mark's a Medford native and witnessed over 60 years of greatness and history regarding Medford sports. He grew up and played all the sports in Medford, went to Roosevelt Elementary. They started playing back then in the 60s, started playing football in the 4th grade, and I think he played for Chief McLean, who was a legendary coach a lot of people know. But he was a great school teacher and just a tremendous coach. Mark and 3 of his senior teammates, Mike Cox, Bob Dames, and Dane Smith, were all selected to the 1965 All-State football team in some capacity. Mark received his undergraduate degree from Notre Dame in communications, his graduate degree in media studies from the University of Innsbruck in Austria. Mark was a sportscaster for 35 years, from 74 to 2008, covered over 750 sporting events on radio and TV. His professional responsibilities included broadcast management, medical management, banking, and fundraising. He served as president of the Medford Linebackers, Medford School Education Foundation, Medford Rotary, Rogue River Valley University Club, Brit Festivals, and he's also on the Rogue Valley Manor Foundation. Mark currently serves as president of the Board of Trustees of Southern Oregon University Foundation. Please give a warm welcome to our Master of Ceremonies, Mark Bayless.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are live on TV. That's my usual sports open. The rest of it goes like this. In many years of broadcasting and public speaking, you realize that some things are easy and some things are hard. The hard part about introducing our guest speaker tonight is to fit all of his accomplishments into 2 minutes. Dan Miles is Medford born and raised. His father, Shorty Miles, is also a Hall of Fame member based on Shorty's long history with youth baseball and also professional baseball in Medford. Dan attended Roosevelt School in Medford, then Hedrick Junior High School, and then on to Medford High. Dan was all conference in football, basketball, and baseball, and all state in football and baseball. In college, from the years of 1964 to 1968, Dan was the last 3-sport athlete at Southern Oregon University, where he was all conference in basketball and baseball, and was 3-time honorable mention All-American in football. As the Raiders quarterback in 1965, Dan completed 190 of 247 passing attempts, a completion percentage of 78%. This is a national record that still stands today for all divisions, including NCAA Division I, Division II, and Division III, including the NAIA. Behind the scenes, 5 years ago, Dan's record, collegiate record, was in jeopardy, and Texans quarterback Colt McCoy rolls out. With a completion, he would have eclipsed Dan's national record. However, he overthrew the tight end, time ran out, ball game over, Dan's record still stands. For 45 years, Dan has been the head basketball coach at OIT in Klamath Falls. He also spent 7 years as head baseball coach, 9 years as head softball coach, and 13 years as an assistant football coach. In basketball, he has won 23 conference championships, has appeared in 17 national tournaments, has won 3 national championships, and a runner-up finish. He is one of only 4 national men's basketball coaches to record over 1,000 wins with a lifetime record of 1,040 victories. He is also a 3-time National Coach of the Year. In 2015, he received the John Wooden Award from the NCAA at the Final Four. During the past year, he was selected to the Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in Kansas City. Dan is one of only 3 small college coaches to receive that special recognition. He is a member of 8 Halls of Fame, and on October 31st of this year, he'll be inducted into the Small College Hall of Fame in Missouri. However, those who know him best know Dan as a truly remarkable person and a wonderful father and husband to Judy. He has brought much distinction to Southern Oregon and to Medford. Please welcome Dan Miles.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here tonight, and I appreciate Larry and the committee having the opportunity to speak to you tonight. He wanted to make sure I kept it short because we have a big night for a lot of very special people. By the way, Mark, I really appreciate the very kind words, and I was also almost went to University of Innsbruck myself. I want you to know that. I remember one of the last 1,000 yards, and Ronnie played with me. He knows I didn't throw it. He only missed. The guy misses by 10,000 yards, but it wasn't bad. I want to congratulate, of course, the honorees tonight. What a wonderful thing. I'm part of 110 Wall of Famers, and I know every one of them would be very proud to know that this group is coming in tonight. A couple months ago, I read an article, or a couple years ago, excuse me, I read an article about the New York Yankees were getting on the team bus to go from the hotel to the ballpark. And the manager at that time, I can't remember which one it was, but he mentioned something that Hank Bauer had died. He was a famous player from the 60s. And what happened, that there wasn't one player on the team that knew who Hank Bauer was. So that really made an impression on me, and I started at Oregon Tech each week to tell the players about one of our ex-players, tell a little bit of the history of the program to them. And tonight I would like to do a snapshot really of a lot of the inductees that were before tonight's inductees. We have some great athletes. I don't know if there's a school in the country, there are very few schools from 1900 through now that have had so many terrific athletes and coaches and supporters of the program. One thing you're going to find tonight too, if you look at the programs, there's not a lot of women in the Wall of Fame. That's not the fault of the committee that's choosing, but up until 1970, we had a very difficult or tough situation in our sports culture in America. Jackie Robinson broke the color line in 1947. few years after that, there's 4 or 5. In fact, I had an opportunity to be a bat boy here in Medford for the great Satchel Paige. Satchel was here barnstorming versus he was with the Kansas City Monarchs, a team that Jackie Robinson had played for. And they were barnstorming with the House of David. House of David was a bunch of white players with long beards. And they were a religious sect from the Michigan area. And one of the ways they tried to bring people to Christ was they had 3 teams that barnstormed all over the country to make money for their religion. And so I got to bat boy that night, and that's 1952. Well, Satchel Paige was 42 years old when he got a chance in 1948 to play in the big leagues. He is the oldest rookie in the history of baseball at 42 years old. 4 years later, at 46, he won 12 games, and 2 months, or about a month and a half after the season, he was in Medford, Oregon, playing in a ball game. I was 7 years old, and they made a real impact on me. I got to meet Cool Papa Bell, and Cool Papa Bell if you look him up sometime, he's 49 years old. He's considered the fastest baseball player ever. Satchel Paige was quite a character. In fact, he said Cool Papa was so fast that when he turned off the light switch, he got in bed before it got dark. You know, so, but it was really, I met Buck O'Brien too, and it was really an impactful thing. But I remember my dad and mom telling me they couldn't stay in town that night here in Medford because of the sundown law. And over the years, I thought how terrible it was for people of color, minorities, and also women, that they didn't have a chance to play. I grew up in Medford in the 60s. I think that's why Larry had me speak tonight, because I'm a certified old guy. I know all the guys before me and a lot of you later on. But like in our neighborhood, I remember we had a young lady. We used to have a ballpark behind my house. That was the original Miles Field. My dad put a backstop up. We had a grass infield. The cow pasture was where the outfield was. It's 220 feet to left, 290 to right. We'd play every day. We'd choose up teams, and about our 5th pick every time was a girl. And she had the 3rd best curveball of the group. She had a heck of a curveball and could really play. Well, when we turned 13 years old, she disappeared. We went on to organized sports, and she ended up not being able to play. But for my mom and for so many people who grew up in the 60s, there's a lot of great athletes back then, but they didn't have the opportunity. And I'll tell you, Title IX was such a wonderful thing to happen for young ladies. I had the opportunity to coach 9 years of softball at Oregon Tech. In fact, one summer I came over, worked with Larry, and I coached Kasey Maybin, and I remember, I'm pretty sure, young lady from Nebraska, Marie, she pitched against, I saw her pitch against the 49ers when I was over here. She struck out about 10 of them, and in an exhibition game. But women's sports has blossomed now, where nowadays some of the best TV you can watch is like women's softball on ESPN. There are certain sports play well for TV, but how the Olympic team, the national team did this year in soccer, all the other great sports now, sports where women are really excelling, it's really nice to see. But they were held back for so many years. So right now we have 13 or 14 young ladies in the Hall of Fame, and from now on, of course, we're going to have lots of opportunities to watch these people compete and be in more Wall of Fames. But that's something that happened all over the country. There's nearly every high school. And as far as football and different sports, there wasn't a black quarterback until the late 1970s in pro football. There wasn't a black center until the same time. They were stereotyped. A lot of people were stereotyped, didn't have that opportunity. We have a same kind of a problem now, I believe. I think it's one of the worst problems we have in the culture of sport is right now. This is the past year, we have less athletes playing sports now. 70% of kids are quitting sports by the time they're 13 years old. We're running a lot of referees out of sport. We're running a lot of coaches out. You'll see very few coaches now that are teachers. Back in when I grew up, there was all kinds of teachers who coached, but very few of them are coaching now because they're getting run out. One of the things that's happening too, besides coaching during the season, they have to coach in the spring and summer to stay up with the other programs. So it's a big change going on now. But I think we need, you young people or the classes going in, use your platform to, we need to help these kids that are quitting sport. Sport is the greatest thing I think, of learning about learning life skills, and we've got to make sure a lot of kids have that chance. The junior giants here in Medford and all over the West Coast, they're getting to play. A lot of kids that didn't have money for mitts and gloves and shoes and things like that, they're able to do that. But we're losing a lot of kids, and I know the George Deemeses of the world and Dick Fosbury, for example, and Danny Miles, we may not be playing nowadays because we were small or weren't very athletic or whatever at a certain time, and may have gone away from sports because we didn't have weren't affluent enough to be able to play. Back when I grew up, tennis, golf, and swimming were more of a fluent sport. Now you can add soccer, you can add softball, you can add baseball, you can add volleyball. So a lot of you parents out here spend thousands of dollars in the summer to pay for your kids to play. But problem is a lot of kids are dropping through the cracks now. At this time, I'd like to just start, and I'm going to mention some of the past athletes. We've had 9 NFL players in this Wall of Fame. We've had Jack Morris. His brother Frank was also a great trackster, became the Oregon State track coach. Jack Morris played for the Rams. We had a guy named Bernie Hughes back in the 30s who was an all-pro. Bill Inyard played fullback with O.J. Simpson for Buffalo. George Deemes was a 5'11", 165-pound linebacker that was a year behind me in Medford. He wasn't very fast. He didn't make the road trip his senior year, the first road trip of the season. Didn't start until the last 4 games. Walked on at the University of Oregon. Didn't play hardly a snap as a freshman. Didn't play in the spring game. His mother came to watch him and played 1 play in the spring game. His mother asked him what he was doing. The next year, he was 3rd string nose guard behind a 270-pounder that got hurt. Second guy, number 2 guy, was they were playing the University of Oklahoma, which was the Alabama at that of this time. You know, back then, what Alabama is now. And the 2nd string guy got sick from the turf they had, so he couldn't play. He was having a tough time. So George got a chance to play. At that time, he's 5'11", 198 pounds as a sophomore, because freshmen couldn't play varsity. He had 11 tackles and 2 fumble recoveries. Went on to become All-Coast and played 2 years with the 49ers. He's a guy that didn't even make a road trip his senior year, but what a great story he was. There was a guy by the name of Charlie Still, played for the Rams. There was Scott Eaton, who played a year before me, great athlete, played basketball at Oregon State for 4 years. Went out for football the next year, played 5 years in the New York Giants. His son, Trace Eaton, ended up playing for Houston and a couple other teams, 5 years of pro football. There was a Bill Morgan and Bob Smith also played. Now, when I mentioned the pros, there was hundreds of all-state players in that sport. Guys that were great college football players, but that's just the number of football players that excelled and went on to professional ball. In basketball, we had a guy by the name of Ed Durno. Ed Durno was a local physician. He was the first All-American at the University of Oregon in basketball. He led the I think at that time about the Pac-8, I believe, in scoring. There was a Bob Quinney, who was one of the only 3-sport All-Staters in Medford history, and also Jerry Anderson. They both played at about the same time. Both were 3-time All-Staters. In baseball, we've had four guys went on Major League Baseball. We had Brad Arnsberg, Jeff Berry, Scott Lewis, and Bobby Wolcott. And then a man by the name of Kevin Towers, who played AAA baseball, but just passed away recently. But he was also a 16 years, he was general manager of Major League Baseball. In track and field, of course, we had Dick Fosbury. He was here recently. They have a book about Dick, but Dick was a guy who was an very average football player, a very average basketball player. You know, if he made the varsity teams. And in track and field, he was a 6'4" high jumper. And then 4 years later, he's Olympic champion at 7'4" and 4.5". And he also invented the Fosbury flop. There's Bob McIntyre, who's the local doctor. Bob McIntyre set the state record in the 400 meters, went to Stanford, and 56 years later, he's still part of the relay 4x100 that ran a sub 40-second 400 meters, 400-meter hurdles. Bowling, we have Marshall Holman. It's in the Hall of Fame. Marshall Holman, PBA, Professional Bowling Association, Hall of Fame, 22 PBA titles. We had a 3-time All-American in diving back in the 60s by the name of Jim Brinson, an All-American swimmer named Shelley Preston. In golf, Doug Olson was a great golfer. He won 2 national championships at the University of Houston and was on the Pro Golf Tour. In rugby, we had a man by the name of Dick Ragsdale. Dick Ragsdale was the quarterback on the only team that won 3 state championships back in 1960. And he went on to play quarterback at Stanford, became a rugby player, and was an outstanding rugby player, and is in their Hall of Fame for that at Stanford. In softball, of course, we have several young ladies that have gone in the last couple times. One of the girls I mentioned, she led her in 12 times in high school, named Angie Leroy. Angie Jacobs played pro softball, and then in volleyball, Tasha Barnico, who's going in this year, and Tasha was at Southern Mississippi, and I know it was interesting. My teams from Oregon Tech played Southern Mississippi on a couple of occasions back there because the coach said, we love playing you guys, because nobody knew the difference between Louisiana Tech, Texas Tech, and Georgia Tech, and Oregon Tech, and so that's an easy win for them. And so they gave us $15,000 to come back and play them. But I know that's a great school back there, and Tosh had to be awful good to make their Hall of Fame. Some of the coaches. I was very, very fortunate. I thought, how many guys could go to grade school, and in the 5th and 6th grade, I got to play for Clifford Chief McLean. He was a great athlete, great coach, and back then they had about six schools at that time in the grade school. We played football. Fred Spiegelberg was our head coach. All the teams ran the same system. All my life is interesting because I never had a play call for me. I had quarterbacks back then called their own plays. So I called all my plays in the 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10, 11, 12, through college. I remember Ronnie Williams was playing fullback and I was a quarterback. And our coach in college one time sent a play in, and I sent a play out with the other guy telling him what I called, and the coach just did this to me. So that's what we did in the old days. But Chief McLean was a great coach. We really respected him. He coached a lot of great players, and I think every guy that played for him thought how lucky they were. Back then in football, we had some of us had a bar in our helmet, some guys didn't. And then also what was interesting was our moms made our shoulder pads. They'd put sew sponges in for our shoulder pads. We played tackle football. My mom didn't want me to get hurt, so I had 2 on each side. So, but that's the way it was back then. But it was terrific. The next year, I remember in the 8th grade, I was told by my 8th grade coach, and he wasn't being mean to me, but I was 5'1", 104 pounds in the 8th grade, and he said, "Danny, you're going to be a great baseball player, but you'll never play high school or basketball probably." So I remember going up to Hedrick and throwing the ball up and down the field by the hour, 7 in the morning till 9 every morning. And then I shot up to 5'4" too. I got a lot bigger. And had a real growth spurt, and I was up to 127 pounds. So, but Spiegelberg is a guy I love to play for. He's in the Hall of Fame also. Then I go to high school. In fact, also we played what we call I know Russ Botzer, some of these guys know about this, but we used to have what we call baseball school. And all the high school coaches were hired in the summer to coach the kids in baseball school. And we had Sam Lors, who were 5 years old, and then we had the different Pee-wees, and we had the intermediates, so from 5 years old until 16, I went to baseball school every year. But our coaches were all the high school coaches, and we learned more baseball than any kids in the country because we had the great coaches. In high school, I got to play for Fred Spiegelberg. Of course, you all know Spiegelberg Stadium. You've heard the stories, but during that 10-year period, 1959 to 1969, Spiegel won 3 of his state championships. And he was quite a guy to play for, and it was, at that time, they did so well by winning the 3 state championships in, I believe it was 1960, that they built a new stadium. So senior year, the team I played on, we were undefeated. We gave up 20 points all season through about 8 shutouts, and we got to play at the big stadium. Well, you hear rumors or hear stories about the old days. Medford did get 10,000 people a ball game. They had 10 bleachers across each end zone. They had bleachers in front of the new part of the stadium, and the place was full. And of course, it's different times now. You have 2 schools now, that's different, and you have TV games on every night, so there's a lot of distractions. But it was a great time to play, and I played for a great coach. In basketball, I got another Hall of Fame coach, in Frank Roland. He won over a 4-year period. He won a state championship, got a 2nd place and a 4th place over a 4-year period. In baseball, John Covins was our coach, another Hall of Famer. I played for 8 Hall of Famers during my high school. Later on, another guy that was my neighbor, Bob Newland, won 9 championships. And then there was a couple of guys that were really quite famous. Bill Bowerman was the who became the track coach at the University of Oregon, won 4 national championships, also started Nike, and he was from Medford. He was a All-State twice, and also a state championship football coach 1 year in 1940. There was another guy named Prink Callison. I wonder why his name was Prink, and I saw his first name was Prince. I can understand why now. But Prink was a great coach, and he coached a couple years. He actually coached 2 championships, basketball championship, 1924 and 1929, and then went to the University of Oregon and had a winning record of about 65% at the U of O. And then there was a couple other, Larry Binney and Rod Rumry. You know, I played ball with them, and they've done a great job, both of them, coaching. And in fact, by the way, Larry, I don't think I want to take you to Walmart opening. You might really break down. Then there was Billy Singler was my coach, assistant coach over Oregon Tech 1 year. Jim McAbee and I, we coached the Mustangs. I coached 1 year, and he's my assistant. We flip-flopped the next year. And then the other thing, DNA-wise, there's been 10 father-daughter or father-son combinations in the Hall of Fame, and there's been 2 sets of brothers are now in the Hall of Fame. So that's just a little, snapshot of what you inductees are going into. And I know we're all happy to have you coming in. And I think one thing, too, I'd like to mention is that use your platform to help these kids nowadays. We just can't afford to keep having all these kids quitting sports. And there's different things. I don't know what the answer is, but I think sport is the greatest thing we have. I always thought it was 50% of my education. Just life lessons we learn, being a champion of character, just doing the right things, learning how to lose. I always taught my boys. I told my boys, they all played Division I baseball for a while and pretty good athletes, but I told them I wanted them to fumble on the 3-yard line in a big game. I wanted them to miss a free throw in front of 2,000 people to lose a game. I wanted them to strike out with the bases loaded, because that's part of your experience. And I also wanted them to play multiple sports. One kid might be a great football player, but he might be coming off the bench in basketball, maybe got cut in baseball and doing something else. But play multiple sports. It's so important. These kids need to do that and learn those life lessons and everything. You learn so much by being in these great games. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Inductees and presenters, would you please give me your attention for just a moment, please? We do have to be sure that we can choreograph what we're doing tonight effectively so that everyone benefits. So as we call your name, the presenters, we will give you the trophy. You then make the presentation. After the presentation has been made and the inductees have a chance to express their thanks, then please won't you join right over here in front of the media backdrop where Jerry Katz can take a couple of photos to commemorate the evening. With that, let's go ahead and get started with our first induction. Please welcome Hall of Fame member Ed Singler.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mark. Before I begin, I just want to say a few things. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Coach Benny. If not for his commitment and just loyalty to kids and this event, we would not be here tonight. So, Coach Benny, thanks so much. I also want to just say a heartfelt congratulations to all inductees tonight. It's a proud moment for each of you and your families. Enjoy it. This is what the night's all about, so big congratulations to you as well. Nights like this and moments like this, we should all step back and just pause and just enjoy. Evenings like this don't happen often in our lives, so it's important to grab a hold of it, enjoy the moment, embrace it, smile, be proud, and just enjoy the evening with loved ones and friends. And I wish that for everyone tonight. That's what this evening's about. For my part tonight, I've spent that last few days trying to figure out what best to say about my first inductee. I wanted this induction to be perfect. I mean, how many times do you get inducted into a Wall of Fame? But my message had to change because life doesn't always play out the way you think it's going to play out. And that's certainly the case here. Tonight I stand to you with a heavy heart. The man I was going to introduce tonight, Larry Barker, a former teammate, a friend, and a friend to many here, passed away unexpectedly a week ago. Larry Biddy and I had sat down with Larry just a week ago to go over tonight's details. We wanted him to make sure that Larry felt comfortable with the night's events. Though Larry had struggled with his health in later years, I knew this night was going to be important to him, and he was looking forward to it. Larry came to breakfast, put his game face on, and he was engaged, and I know he was really looking forward to it. But God, I guess, had another plan. Larry's son, Jake Barker, is here tonight, and his wife, Danielle, here tonight to accept Larry's award on his behalf. But before I bring Jake up, I just want to say a few personal words about Larry so you can get a feel for what he was like as a person and a Black Tornado great, which he was. Larry was a Medford kid. He was tough. He was fearless. He was loyal. As Coach Spiegelberg always said, and I remember him saying this clearly, Barker's my kind of kid. Back in the late 70s, Larry Barker's name preceded him at Medford Senior High School. Everyone knew who Larry Barker was. He was one of the most powerful, agile athletes around. He had that brute strength, that raw power it takes to be a state, regional, and international wrestling champion, which he was. Yet he had the agility, toughness, and athleticism to be a great running back and linebacker. And of all things, he was a fantastic intermediate hurdler. Larry was a stud. He was a stud for the Tornado. What set him apart, in my opinion, from other good athletes, because there was a lot of them, was his undeniable determination and super strong will to win. He was relentless, and quite frankly, Larry had a whole lot of nastiness about him that the opponents just couldn't handle. The trait that I admired most about Larry, though, was the fact that he came from very little, and nothing was ever given to him. Yet, he never used that as an excuse with those that had more than him. Larry didn't have the type of support system that many of us had growing up. We know athletes that achieve success don't achieve it on their own, but in Larry's case, everything he did achieve, he did it because he had a tremendous will and a tremendous will to overcome. Larry Barker was a great Black Tornado. He was so worthy of this recognition. We are saddened of this surprise passing, and I'm so sorry that he's not here tonight to accept this award, because I know that he would have been very proud. Would have been a happy moment for him. But I'm really pleased that Jacob is here tonight, made the decision to come up here tonight to accept the award on his dad's behalf. I know Larry would have wanted that. Jacob, your dad was a great one. Please welcome Jacob Barker.
So I first found out about this. My dad talked to me about a month ago, told me that this was going to happen, and he told me how excited he was for it. He recently hadn't had a lot to be too excited for, but this was kind of a crowning moment for him, to be recognized for everything he did in high school, and those of you that knew him after high school, you know all the stuff he did in college. Played for Canadian football and also tried out for the 49ers. It was a shock to everybody who knew him, and he'd be extremely proud today. And thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Jake. Because you can read 5 times faster than I can speak, my portion of what I'm doing tonight, I would like to refer you to your program for all of the details. What I wish to do, though, is go behind the scenes and let you know what's in the athlete's heart. What do they really care about? Tasha Barnico and her family live in the Florida Panhandle, not far from where she was a star volleyball player at the University of Southern Mississippi. Her husband was a scholarship athlete at USM. They have 3 children. The oldest is an outstanding high school sophomore who is 6'3", 215 pounds. This award is special for Tasha Barnico because of the people and the place. The people who were special for her were her teachers and coaches and administrators at North Medford High School. She described to me a place and a time that was very important for her, where she understood a winning mindset and the strength that comes when she learned to believe in herself and to ask and answer some essential life questions. Who am I? What can I become? And how do I relate to others and to life? She wrapped it up for me with great simplicity and economy of words. She said, expect success, small town values, and big town dreams. Tasha is grateful from the bottom of her heart. Do we have a video presentation that Tasha provided to us, Patrick?
Play of one of the best spikers in the SOC, Junior Tasha Barnico, this week's All-Sport Amateur Athlete of the Week.
Well, I started in 6th grade, and I've always loved it because, I mean, just the force of hitting, blocking, just all-around movement. I just really like the game compared to most sports. You have to use your head a lot more, too.
There's no doubt Junior Tasha Barnico uses her brain and brawn for the Black Tornado. She's a standout in basketball, volleyball, and track, where she holds the school record in the discus, but says there's nothing like a good spike.
Actually, the biggest win of our season was Churchill in the playoffs. I mean, we really came together as a team, and we got that one. We were so happy to get that one.
As if competing in 3 sports was not enough, Tasha is helping to start a high school volleyball club and teaches Special Olympics in her off time. So, how'd she become such a strong student athlete?
Probably my #1 support system is my mom. She supports everything I do. She just 100% is always there for me, which is really great.
Her career goals are lofty, and why shouldn't they be after the success she's had on and off the court?
I've been getting some letters, but I'm really interested in going to college on volleyball and studying medicine. I really like to become a doctor. I'm not sure what kind, but I'm really interested in that. So.
No doubt she's already earned a PhD in volleyball. Now all she has to do is doctor up a state playoff berth next season, which she says, hey, that's an easy prescription to write.
Greetings from Florida. Hi, this is Tasha Firestone. I just wanted to send a quick video showing my gratitude for this awesome honor to be inducted into the North Medford High School Wall of Fame. And thank you again for just letting me walk down memory lane and just remember all the wonderful people that built into my life, like teachers like Tim Sam and Mrs. Bradshaw, counselors like Mr. Ralph Burrell, awesome coaches like Ron Bike and Coach K and John Thomas, and just so many people in my life that really just made such an impact at such a young and impressionable age. God bless you all. I have so many fond memories of playing volleyball, basketball, doing track the first couple of years, and really being able to build who I was and have that work ethic ingrained in me. That really, the quote is true, right? The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. Thank you so much again for this awesome induction. I hope you enjoyed the highlight tape that my awesome son made. And again, I wish I could be there with you tonight, and I appreciate this honor. Thank you.
Congratulations to Tasha. At this time, please welcome Tom Fryer.
Walk up the wrong direction. Okay, good. Okay, good. That down there. Thank you, everyone. It's a real honor. To be here tonight with all of you. Some of you I played with, but I'm here to introduce Russ Botzer, who's not only a good friend, he was a great competitor, great athlete, still is. Russ played first base with skill, grace, and authority. One of the great signature moves by Russ playing defense, we'll talk about his offense in a second, was when the ball would come up the line, he'd have to come off the base to get the ball. He looked more like a safety playing defense than a first baseman. Often those collisions resulted in someone not reaching first base. Russ would carefully dust them off and send them on their way as if it were a first-time event. Everyone on the team knew it wasn't. So Russ was he was a vocal leader on our team, a great baseball player. In addition to being a great player, he was a leader. He played first base. We in those years with gentlemen like Lloyd Williamson back here, we won 2 conference titles. That was 77 and 1978. We also won the conference titles with the Mustangs for both of those years as well. Russ also was, as a 16-year-old, on the American Legion Mustang team that won the state title. And many don't remember, but we do, that Russ also was a pitcher. And he had a curveball that was really something amazing. In fact, it had its own name. It was called the bird ball. So we knew that when Russ was coming in, he was going to get some outs there at the end of the game. So I remember, if he made an error, I don't remember it. According to B.G. Gould, he must have made a couple. BJ read the stats, and it was like a 97% fielding average, and I've got to believe it because BG was accurate. He had a sweet swing. You know, the championship teams he played on, he played for some of the legendary coaches too. So Coach McAbee, Coach Gabby, Bob Williams. Russ was his favorite. What else can I say about him other than, you know, great friend, great player. It's with, you know, a lot of gratitude that I stand here today to introduce him and welcome him into such an elite group of athletes that we have in front of us here today. So with that, introducing Russ Botzer.
It's get to see a lot of faces out there I haven't seen in a long time, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, to be inducted into the Wall of Fame. It's great to be listed as an athlete and then as a special contributor. And I thought, special contributor? I go, you know, that's probably something I can't take all the credit for. My family over here, raise your hands, everybody. So we have always, I think when we first started back in business, we always said, we're going to support the kids in this valley, whether it's education or sports or whatever, but to give them, you know, maybe that extra shot. And it's something that we've always continued to do. Whether you're a tornado or a panther or a comet, little leaguer, Babe Ruth or whatever, we've always kind of tried to repay, you know, all the opportunities that we've had in this valley since 1955. So it's a pleasure to be recognized in that. So sorry to hear about Larry Barker. I had some great Larry Barker stories. And of course, you know, with Larry's passing, I just want to say that he was one of the greats. You know, at least in my era and you know, the entire Tornado clan. Larry was, God, he could have played for the Black Tornado in the 8th grade. You know, it was like Man Mountain Mike, and I was like, whew. Growing up in Medford, there were not too many of us that, you know, played sports that didn't dream of putting on, you know, the colors, you know, black, red, and white on a Friday night. And, you know, and representing our town, you know, to all comers. And, you know, in retrospect, you know, our coaches from mid-high and senior high, that's what it used to be called a long time ago. One thing they pushed as a team, there was, and one thing I keep trying to do today in my business is always form that team. And, you know, there's no I in team. And that's the main thing that we used to be taught. And it's only we did it. And our dad used to say the same thing, you know, it's like, you know, you didn't catch the fish, we caught the fish. Of course, my wife doesn't believe that because she always catches the fish, even though she's a vegan, you know. But there were, you know, growing up with coaches like Maccabee and Spiegelberg and Van Amberg and Howell and Roland Benson, Merrier, McReynolds, and even Spaney, for God's sakes, always reinforced one thing, and that was gutters never quit and quitters never gut. And that was one thing that really resonated with me, you know, growing up in Medford. And quick story, sidebar, you know, at University of Oregon, about halfway through the season got hurt, and then Title IX hit. And I thought, well, this is a raw deal, you know, Oregon's gone, and I could have gone to Texas Tech and Utah, but I decided to get my, you know, my degree and call it good because my knee was just gone. But what it did for me was allow my daughter Alex. Raise your hand, Alex. But she played 4 years of college soccer. And, you know, without Title IX, that would, you know, it would have maybe not happened. Shortly, with Tom Fryer, thank you for traveling all the way from Alabama and, you know, helping induct me and to all my family and friends. I appreciate you showing up. And thanks for this 34 ounces of love that he gave me, the special Russ Boxer bat. I didn't want to swing it. I might hurt myself. That's the last time I did it. I guess my only wish, you know, was I wish, you know, my mom and dad were still alive. They, you know, none of this would have happened without, you know, their encouragement. Just, you know, talking about coaches and stuff. My dad had a simple thing when he'd come home, and I remember I pitched against the Yakima Beatles. They were world champions. I threw a one-hitter against them, and I'm sitting in a bathtub full of ice, and because I can barely feel my arm anymore. And he said, boy, you know, tomorrow work starts at 6 a.m. And I go, well, but Dad, my arm hurts. And he goes, well, you know where you find sympathy in the dictionary? And I go, yeah, unfortunately. Which the answer was, it's somewhere between shit and sweat. And, but he really was kind of sensitive, in a way. Lastly, I want to say thanks especially to Gary and Candy Miller for thinking of me during the nomination process. And congratulations to all the winners tonight. So thank you very much.
Marie Bowie remembers the values that guide great people, that people are important, especially her coaches, Duke Anderson, Larry Benny. Duke and Larry gave extra time and effort to help Marie succeed, to give her unconditional backing and support, especially when she was thrust into the world of athletic scholarships and all the nuances that can easily overpower a small-town high school athlete. She also recognizes that essential value that her coaches and family taught her so well. Hard work pays off. And she knows the appreciation that she feels for all those who helped her on her journey. All the families, fans, parents, friends, teammates, and administrators who willed Marie and her team to win. Marie continues in athletics, now as a coach, and to help others like her to navigate the scholarship journey. She believes in another lifelong value, to pay it forward. Or as she puts it simply, what was given to me, I now try to give back. And the final value that she learned, she saved for the last. When asked what she does to remember most about her career, at North Medford High School, she replied so quickly, Medford cares. Please welcome inductee Marie Bowie.
Is showing. Some bifocals here. Well, good evening. You're definitely not my 7th grade class out there, but I'll try and imagine that you are. Oh, sorry. I'll try and imagine that you are my little 12 and 13-year-olds. It makes me feel more comfortable. All right, well, anyway, first of all, I'd like to thank my parents, Steve and Carolyn, and my son, Luke, for accompanying me. My oldest son, Corbin, could not make it tonight because he had a football game at PSU, which go Vikes, they won. Also, thank you to the committee for their votes to include me in the Black Tornado Wall of Fame with the other outstanding athletes. It's truly an honor. But I wouldn't be standing, it's gonna get tough right here. I wouldn't be standing in front of you tonight if it wasn't for two people who I hold close to my heart, which is Larry Benny and Duke Anderson. Without a doubt, they were the most dedicated coaches who made playing softball a want to, not a have to, and they made it fun. After Nebraska, I continued softball, but not as a player, but as a coach. The tools I was given in high school, determination, dedication, and self-motivation, in other words, grit, I instilled in my players. Just like Larry and Duke, I wanted to see my players succeed and continue with the desire to play in college, which several of them did. In closing, keeping it short and sweet, as a teacher of 7th graders, I inspire my students every day to persevere. This is a trait that stayed with me from my Black Tornado days, along with the chant, K-A-R-T, CART. Thank you.
David Fa'eatete remembers most the camaraderie of the locker room, the feeling of team, the feeling of trust, the feeling of family when you all wear the jersey, and how big the stage was when you kept winning all the way to the state championship game, and how close you felt to special teammates like Rob Folsom, Bo Hovland, Travis Bolton, Scott Myers, Kelly Brown, Mike Olson, the Clifton brothers, Frank and Brian, and so many more. Teammates who expected success of themselves and wish success for everyone. The coaching staff expected excellence and the attitude of always doing the right thing and putting in the work to succeed, making sacrifices to ensure excellence. Coaches like John Beck, Rod Brumry, Mike Shawn, Mark Hodges, and others. I remember well walking the sidelines with the group when they were remarkable. During a pause at one of the games, I asked one of the assistant coaches, "What makes this group special?" And without a pause, he said, "Hey Mark, this gang loves the game." When I told David about that encounter, he said immediately, "Have to love the game and learn that it's greater than yourself. It's never about yourself. It's all about the team." Words he teaches every day as coach of 3 sports in Hermiston: football, basketball, and track and field. He's been there now for 11 years and has won numerous conference championships and a state title. That's the type of excellence he grew up learning here in Medford, and he now passes on every day as head coach in Hermiston. David Fa'eatete.
I didn't write anything down, so sorry about that. Didn't know we had to do a talk. But I wouldn't be the person I am today without a lot of people sitting here in this room. Sorry. Give me a second. But it's absolutely true. Growing up in a single-parent household where your mom didn't finish middle school, chips are stacked against you. But it was Medford athletics, specifically North Medford, that allowed me to become who I am today. Teachers sitting in this room who made sure I wouldn't fail and guided me in the right path. Coaches, teachers, Mr. Black, and back there, I didn't even expect to see him tonight. And man, he would ride my butt as a sophomore, in biology class, go to class, show up on time. But it's true what was said about family. Without this concept of family that I learned being part of North Medford Athletics, it's the same thing that's built a winning tradition for Hermiston football. All right, it's why we have hung 2 banners in less than 10 years. It's because of what was built here when I was here. Family and the expectation of excellence in everything you do. Without the people in this room, I don't know where I'd be. And what we did here when I was here is the same thing we're trying to do where I'm at right now. This is absolutely amazing. I'm truly thankful and blessed that you guys didn't even consider me. When I got the phone call, I was like, "You sure?" I don't think I'm old enough to be in here. But believe it or not, I always thought I was going to be a Panther. But apparently, whoever drew the boundary lines said Jackson Street was the boundary, did the right thing for me. And, I saw Amy Tiger earlier, being a McLaughlin Bulldog. I thought I was going to be a Panther, but I don't think I'd be the person I am today without North Medford. And the coaches, from Coach Rumry to Coach Beck, and I can't even count how many days they'd show up at my house to pick me up to go to class. It wasn't the greatest, Kind of far away, living in South Medford District too, so. But I'm truly thankful. And family is everything. And the family and fraternity and brotherhood, sisterhood of North Medford Wall of Fame spans over 100 years. I'm truly honored to be part of it. I don't think words can express my true feelings. But thank you so much.
Please welcome Hall of Fame member Rob Folsom.
Thanks everybody for coming and supporting this year's inductees. You can read in the pamphlet about Ryan's athletic accomplishments. From my perspective as his brother, I would just say it's hard to put on paper all that he did for those few good years at the end of his North Medford High School career. When I think about my children now and my life, it's really hard to continue to do things when you're not getting the reward and that immediate feedback. And for Ryan, it took him a lot of years to finally feel the success that he did towards the end of his North Medford football journey and wrestling. And I think that that's an important part of his story. I, over the last few weeks, have been thinking what Ryan would say if he could be here. And I think that what he would say is thank you. I think that he would want to thank people like Rod Rumry and Kasey McNulty and David and Johnny, Coach Benny, a lot of the folks that spent the time to love him and support him and mentor him. I think that he would say thank you to my mom. I think he would tell Lauren how much he loves her. And that he's proud of her. And I know this isn't my award, but if I could leave this room with just a thought, Ryan has 3 boys, and there are certain lessons that you're supposed to learn from your dad and with your dad. And because he's not here to share those with his kids, as I've sat in this room tonight, I've just been so thankful for the community, the Southern Oregon community, that allows girls and boys who don't have the same opportunity as other people the chance to be mentored and loved by other folks. And so I hope you know how appreciative Ryan would be and how appreciative the Folsom family is that you thought of him and that he was nominated for this award. And his wife, Lauren, is going to accept the award and plaque for him. Thank you.
As you know, Ryan and I have 3 little boys, and every time he'd find out the gender and that we were having another son, he'd get so proud. He'd get in this stance, and his voice would get real low, and he'd kind of flex a little bit, and he'd say, "Another son to play North Medford football." He was so proud, and we miss him so much. And just like Rob, we wanted to thank you all for not only loving and encouraging and supporting him, but also all of us, especially this last year and a half. Thank you.
Please welcome Wall of Fame inductee Tim Sam.
Good evening. Thanks, friends and family, for being here tonight. I'm excited to introduce to you the next inductee. I was lucky enough to be her well, they call me a golf coach. Really, I was her van driver. She had a really good coach in Ed Fisher, one of the top 100 golf teachers in America, and a great guidance from her father, Rob, who I got to know sitting and watching or standing and watching Ty. So I got to tell this story before we get Ty up here. You can read about Ty certainly in the pamphlet, but some highlights for sure. Valedictorian for North Medford High School, a 4-time All-State golfer. I think she finished 8th, 6th, 2nd, and 1st. She was the first female state champion in North Medford history, and I'm really excited for her to get this award. Her senior year at the state championship is my second year coaching. Ended up coaching for 18 years, and I can tell you one of the top 2 worst days of golf was day 1 at Langdon Farms, the state championship. Torrential rain, standing water in half the fairways, and we played the ball down that day. For whatever reason, the OSA decided that it wasn't quite wet enough to lift clean in place. So Ty, as I recall, I might be off by a shot or something, but I think she finishes the day 3 shots ahead. Going into day 2, had a fairly comfortable lead, and then a gal from Grants Pass made a move. You might recognize her name, Jonna Neely. She was the winner of the Southern Oregon Golf Tournament here last weekend. Great golfer for Grants Pass, ended up at University of Oregon, and then came back and decided to be a Black Tornado for a few years. We were lucky to have her. Anyway, so she was playing in the group ahead of Ty, and had made a couple birdies, and we are standing in the middle of the 18th fairway, a par 5 at Langdon Farms. Ty hit a very good drive in the fairway, and we hear a roar up ahead on the 18th green. So wanting to find out kind of what her standing was, I run up to the green. She's waiting to hit on the par 5 in her second shot, and I find out Jonna Neely had eagled that hole. But anyway, I run back, and Ty says to me, "She birdied, huh?" And I said, "No, she eagled." Now, Ty was always very stoic, very non-emotional. I can tell you her eyes got about as big as Gordy's dinner plate. So she probably a little rush of adrenaline. I was a van driver. I thought I was trying to coach her, but anyway, I think she got a little adrenaline in her. She hits over the 5th green, or the 18th green on her second shot, into kind of a little gully behind the green. So it has a kind of a tough chip down the hill, leaves it about 10 feet short. So I'm standing with her dad, and her dad said, well, I can't tell you what her dad said, but anyway, so she's got a 10-footer to tie. And again, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if we were going into a playoff, but Ty makes that putt to tie Jonna Neely for the state championship in a championship way. There was no playoff. That's what I learned that day, and I also learned a lot about Ty Kenney's grittiness, and I can tell you, as good as a golfer she was, she's a greater human being. Ty Kenney.
I can't believe that happened nearly 20 years ago. I know, as Coach was saying, he was always so cool, calm, and collected. And that day, even though I probably had my poker face on, I was so anxious and so extremely nervous. And once I had learned that my opponent had made eagle on that hole, I was channeling, I was thinking about my dad, all the times that he would say, "Don't leave it short. Get to the green." So I put my best swing on it that day, and ended up tying. So extremely happy about that day, and pleased to have Coach Sam right there by my side on one of my most memorable sports events in my high school career. So thank you. Like many of you, growing up in Southern Oregon, a lot of our success
started early. It wasn't only just in high school. We, played so many different youth sports growing up, lots of sports. And I know my parents, I'd like to thank them for all the times that, every season playing a sport, whether it was volleyball, basketball, softball, and then later golf. And, I remember growing up in the summertime, it was golf Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then jumping in the car, quick clothes and gear change, and on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was softball. So pretty much it was like that almost every single weekend in the summertime. So I know they spent a lot of time, effort, energy and money on me, so I have them to thank for a lot of my success. And really thinking back to a lot of my time here in Southern Oregon, it's you don't find this everywhere else. There's so much support here. There's so many great people, and I have so many people to think that have helped me along the way. I know, especially for softball, I thought I'd only see probably a few people here, but I see Coach Benny, I saw Duke Anderson, and so many more that I know have helped me so much along the way, and so thank you so much. And gosh, it's really an honor for me to be here today, to come back home and be recognized. So thank you so much.
Please welcome Taylor Maybin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I have the honor of introducing the next two inductees, my parents. Mike and Kasey Maybin have undoubtedly left their mark on North Medford High School. As students, athletes, teachers, and coaches, they have a pretty big list of accolades and accomplishments, and you can read about those in the program. But the funny thing is that I think that the greatest of those isn't even in the program. The best thing that I believe with my whole heart that they ever did for this school was get married. Their love for each other and willingness to serve those around them has impacted every person who's had the pleasure of being coached by the two of them. I'm so proud to be the daughter of two such incredible people and the most unstoppable team out there. I have a special little note from my sister who couldn't be here tonight because she's in Arizona at school. She's actually watching right now on Table Rock Sports. Mia says, "My parents are the best at their jobs, not only as parents, but also as coaches, mentors, teachers, providers, and friends. Something so special about all of these roles that they play in my life as their daughter is that my sister and I aren't the only ones who benefit from them. Every student, athlete, and family that they serve day in and day out know exactly what I'm talking about. Mom and Dad, I love you and miss you so much. But as I continue to grow, I can only hope to have a heart as humble as yours, so willing to serve with all that I am. Mike and Kasey Maybin."
Follow that. I think the greatest thing we probably ever did is walking off the stage and watching on camera, for sure. But I want to really thank Larry for the recognition that this is what
really Black Tornado Fast Pitch, and Larry, what you and Fagoni started a long time ago, what it's all about is family. And it means the world to us to be able to come up here and be family. And I look back there and see our Black Tornado family back there. Black Tornado Fast Pitch is such a special program, and you guys do so much for student athletes. Just your dedication, your heart, everything you do is incredible. The amount of time and effort and energy, and to look back and see the families that work together to serve, we just are honored to have been a part of that. And over the years, we had a tremendous number of coaches, and I look around this room and I see them. Brett Wolf, thank you for all that you did. Larry, for being such an incredible mentor. The coaches that I got to coach with, Greg, Winter, and Ernie back there. Chris, you're doing a fantastic job, and Dan, and George, and Russ, and Kurt, and Rod, and all of you who just were a tremendous part of us getting to be out there on the field with those young ladies every day. And for the families that shared their daughters with us, we just want to thank them for the opportunity to be with their families and be a part of their families and watch their kids grow into the young women that they are today. It's really exciting to look out and see Taylor Schmidt and Amanda Wolf, part of the 2009 team. And we'd be remiss to say that great coaches, they have great players. And Taylor, you're one of those great players that gave us the opportunity to really step our game up and be better coaches. So we thank you for that. I'll leave it to my wife to say anything.
shouldn't be up here with him. We have the best family. I'll start there. Obviously, my husband's a great coach. He's the energy and the passion that keeps us all going. I'm excited for what he's going to have the opportunity to do at SOU, and just honored to be a part of that. My in-laws, my family up here, my Black Tornado family, are the best people. We couldn't do that without them. Taylor and Mia were 6 and 4 when Mike became the head coach, and they would come if it was snowing sideways outside, come down to the field to see if the kids wanted to go somewhere warm, and they usually said no. But all these people are part of our family, the humble servants back there at table 17 that show up to mow the field. They don't want free t-shirts, they don't want their name on anything. They just want to give kids a safe place to play. And our extended family, my aunt and uncle and my dad and my siblings, and perspective. We love, this is all great, but like David said, family's so special. 3 weeks ago tonight, my brother and his wife, they lost their house in a fire, the whole thing, and haven't complained once about it. They even got to move right next door to us because that was the only available rental in Medford while their house was rebuilt. And it's just, to be able to share these moments and with this great community and all the people and just all the tremendous opportunities that God's given to us to just pour into kids and to work alongside the best people around and have the best examples in our parents of what it's like to just keep giving, and Coach Nate Maybin as well. He's an incredible coach. So love sharing this, love all you guys. The best speeches are the shortest ones, but I don't know a coach that doesn't know how to keep it short. So thank you guys so much.
For Seth McEwen, Friday nights in the fall in Medford were special. The whole town shut down. Everybody went to the games. On alternating weeks, it was either north or south. But when the black and blue met, it was 10,000 folks packed into Pete Spiegelberg Stadium. It was the old Southern Oregon Conference. Great teams, great fans, great support, and great players. Seth just wanted to be part of the tradition. He followed in the cleats of his older brother John, who played for the Tornado. He took the tradition and the legacy to another level. He remembers mostly the solid effort that all the coaches gave Seth and his teammates, all the extra effort they gave to place the athletes in a position to excel. Coaches like Rod Rumry, Jim Hudson, Chris Parnell, Buzz Brazeau, Steve Turner, just to mention a few. As a University of Oregon football player, he was part of the group that propelled the Ducks to the national level. Again, great coaches like Mike Bellotti and Steve Greatwood. And the message was delivered clearly and consistently. Hard work, no exceptions, refuse to quit. But the most consistent message the coaches delivered was the same at the U of O as it was at North Medford. Care about the kids. As a first responder here in Medford, Seth now takes that ethic to a new level. Care about everyone in Medford. Please welcome Seth McCune.
Just like David, I didn't know we were going to have a talking piece here tonight, so I'm just going to shoot from the hip. That picture right there is the biggest smile on the fattest face you're ever going to see. And I'm going to tell you why. That was the summer I met my wife, Nikki, for 17 years, sweetie. I love you so much. You've made my life amazing. I went on to have the best football season of my life because I was carried by love. Tear, right? It was so amazing. I'm so happy. To be a Black Tornado, I think we all can celebrate. It's the long road. Everyone always doubts the Black Tornado outside of this group. Inside this group, we know, is a blue-collar lifestyle. No exceptions, no excuses. And every athlete I've seen go before me, which I'm on the coattails of, you guys are amazing. I can't believe I'm here right now. You guys are amazing. You are blue-collar workers, and it's proven in your accolades. And I count myself extremely lucky to be on this wall with a lot of these folks here. Again, I want to emphasize some of the blue-collar coaches. Coach Rumry, I love you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for instilling in me the hard work ethic, not quitting, and always persevering. Steve Turner isn't here. I love you. He's like a father to me. Chris Parnell, man, that guy, amazing, high-quality care factor through the roof. Jim Hudson, Sandy Kensinger. So many great coaches that have had an impact on my life and many of yours. I humbly thank you. Thank you for this honor. Thank you, Larry Benny, and thank you for the committee. This is truly such an amazing, amazing accomplishment. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Steve Farlow.
Good evening. It's fun growing up with Nate. I've learned so much from him as his father, and I'd be amiss tonight if I didn't give recognition to his greatest fan, his mother. She passed away in December, and I'd be probably sharing this moment with her up here. But she would yell out 413. Every game that Nate was at, every time he came to bat, 413. I'm sure a lot of people wondered whether she was aware of his jersey number or not, but it was actually a scripture Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And Nate has demonstrated that, breathed it, lived it, and shown it in just about every way. When Nate was born on December 22nd, and we brought him home on Christmas Eve. And we put him, because it's Christmas Eve, and we thought he was quite a gift from the Lord, that we put him in a stocking and put him underneath the Christmas tree. And thought that was quite a gift. And so we watched him for a little while, well, just 3 minutes, not 3 months. And we named him, both my sons are named after biblical names. Nathan in the Old Testament means gift, and Andrew in the New Testament, Greek, means manly, a manly gift. And when we named it that way, we didn't realize we were naming his destiny, which has been demonstrated in just all aspects of his life, and all the way to the thrill that we had as a family to go to Cooperstown and see Nate inducted into the youth division of the Hall of Fame there, all that way. One of the defining moments, I think, for Nate, which kind of describes his life, he was playing in a game. It was a very important game. There were so many of them, I can't remember which one it was. But he hit a home run, and as he was rounding the bases, he came back and stepped on the home plate, and the umpire called him out right away. And apparently somebody in the other dugout said, "Hey, he missed first base." And the umpire, I guess, agreed with him and called him out. So we were a little discouraged by that, and I remember I was talking with Nate during the break. I'm not sure if the coaches appreciated that, but we were chatting a little bit, and I was telling about Jesse Owens in that classic 1936 Olympics, when Jesse Owens decided that he would have to do the broad jump, well in advance of the platform there in order to win. And so I just said to Nate, I said, "Leave no doubt." Well, he hit another home run in that game, and as he rounded the bases, reached first and put his foot down emphatically on first base. And to me, that's been the hallmark of my son's life and everything that he's done. He's left no doubt of his commitment, of his excellence, of his the continuation that he's had in the qualities and the virtues, and his commitment to the Lord Jesus Christ as well as to his family. And we have seen that dedication. He's left no doubt of his love and his commitment. The same dedication he showed on the field has been demonstrated in his music and his family, his friendships, and his faith. And so it's very proud for me as his father to introduce our inductee into the 2019 North Medford High School Wall of Fame, Nathan Andrew Fire.
If you want to know where I get my competitive nature from, it's from this guy, and I think I need to throw in the towel right now as far as presentation is concerned. Unfortunately, if you saw us play lawn darts yesterday, you would have seen where I get it from. But I appreciate that, Dad. And I do know that Mom is smiling down, and the only thing that could make this more perfect is to see her physically and have her here to share this experience with her. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone here, and it's a bit overwhelming, to be honest. And I want to thank Larry Binney, and I want to thank my coach Brett Wolf and Coach Rod Rumry, and they've been so incredibly the model and the character that they brought, not just to the sports and to the players and to their discipline, but in making sure that every player on the team had character and made sure everyone was good sports. And I remember Coach Rumry would get so livid if someone showed any bad sportsmanship on the field. Although we did get a good laugh when, oh wait, who was it that was beating on the lineman's head because he was so frustrated? But that being said, I just want to thank everyone for the recognition. It is overwhelming. And I actually didn't grow up in Medford. We grew up in Northern California, and I didn't get to go experience Hedrick or anything like that. But we moved up from Northern California, and I came up middle of my freshman year. And what a great story it is that I got to actually meet Coach Spiegelberg, probably I think within a couple of weeks of moving up here and for my second semester. And before moving up, my parents had moved up, had looked at the area, and they went to Spiegelberg Stadium, and they went to Miles Field and the school and saw the campus at North Medford and said, I think Nate's high school career wouldn't be too shabby here. I mean, it was just amazing how much the community as a whole and the city as a whole put towards the school and towards the students. So, but upon arrival, 3 days in or so, I'm working out in the weight room. I had already met Coach Rummery, and there were some of the former football players. If you remember, in '93, they had won the state championship, and this is what I was being introduced to. And a lot of us were up in the weight room, and Coach Rummery comes in, and I got to learn. I already knew that he was a great coach, and I'd heard that, but I got to experience firsthand his decisiveness, his ingenuity, because there was a miscommunication, and Coach Spiegelberg was actually going to be present to give his appreciation to the team. Well, some of the players were up in the weight room, but the whole team wasn't there. And so he says, all you guys that are here in the weight room, come downstairs and put on a jersey. And so I'm about a week old into the program, and so I'm donning a jersey, and the news is there, and Coach Spiegelberg is giving his thanks to the football players, and unfortunately there were a lot of them that were on the team there, but we kind of filled the gaps. And so I'm watching the news report and watching it pan later that night, and there I am donning a jersey, number 68. Apparently I was a 5'4", 105-pound lineman, but on a state championship team. Next to my other friend who didn't play football. But so immediately upon entering Medford, I was already favored as a champion, and so I just knew it was going to be good from there on out, and it truly was. And I got to be on board when Coach Wolf started managing the varsity baseball team, and just ran such a successful program. But it was just what was amazing is how they continued what had already been taught to me growing up with wonderful parents. My dad and my mom were always encouraging, and they promoted consistency. And I'd be throwing the ball against the wall and practicing grounders or pitching against the wall, just doing those little things. And the coaches just furthered that as I was able to play in Medford. And it was the best decision that my family ever made, was to move up here and to give me that opportunity. So I'm very thankful. And it really is overwhelming. So just the influence, being able to experience such wonderful coaching from also Sandy Kessinger, God bless him. I wish he could be here right now. But to experience playing American Legion ball and playing on a team that went to the finals of the World Series. Unfortunately, we came up short. But being able to win the George Rouland Player of the Year award, it was all based on these values that were perpetuated with the coaching staff. And so I just want to thank you all for the support and the love. It's fantastic. And my family that's always been supportive, my beautiful wife, Teresa, my amazing sons, Seven and Jaron, who are here. Raise your hands. And my brother, Ian, and my other brother, Jason. It's just been strong support. And I think if people have a strong family structure or not, they will inevitably have a strong family structure going to North Medford and participating in the sports programs that are available. And so please continue that. It's incredibly rich. But thank you so much for the honor. I really appreciate it.
Please welcome Tim Carrick.
Well, good evening, everyone. I don't even know if I need one of these. I do? Sorry, I'll use it. Thank you. Good evening, and I just wanted to thank all the inductees and congratulate them on their inductions tonight. It's very well deserved, and it's great to see you guys and people that I haven't seen for a long time. I guess the one thing you can think about tonight, and the theme is definitely about family. And the Black Tornado is definitely a family. And it's been a family that I've been involved with my whole life. And I'm going to introduce one that was, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, sorry. I'm honored to introduce one of my favorite members of Black Tornado family, Tim Sam. Tim joined the Black Tornado family in 1991 as a math teacher and a boys basketball coach. Tim eventually became the head boys basketball coach and the head girls basketball coach. Tim had numerous successes in both. Tim was a part of 5 conference championships. His golf teams finished in the top 5 in the state 5 times. He was honored Coach of the Year 5 times as well. And in 2013, he was the West Regional Girls Golf Coach of the Year. Tim became AD in 2004, and much success followed. During his tenure as the AD of the Black Tornado won 42 conference championships, 7 state championships, and finished in the Oregonian top 10 8 times. Success, however, is not always measured by wins and losses. Tim's leadership helped create a culture of success on and off the field at North Medford. Tim always understood the big picture when it came to athletics. That we as Black Tornadoes are a part of something much bigger than ourselves. Tim always won with class and lost with dignity. Tim represented the Tornado honorably and with great humility. On a more personal note, I want to thank Tim for being a great mentor and an amazing friend. I'm a better teacher, a better coach, and a better person for working with you. Congratulations, and thank you very much, Tim Sam.
Thank you. Nice words, Tim. Appreciate that very much. I heard this was on live, a live webcast, right? That's where we got to talk in the mic. I also heard in the background that somebody thought the lighting was so bad up here because Tim Sam was going to be talking, and my mom always told me I had a face for radio, but you think, God bless you, Mom. She's not dead or anything. She just God bless Mom. I heard a story I want to share with you, and well, I'll just share it with you. I heard about a Medford baseball coach walking the beach, likes to spend time on the beach. A former or current baseball coach at Medford, walking the beach, and came across a bottle and wiped the bottle off the sand, looked like an old antique bottle, and out, poof, came a genie. And Genie said, "You got one wish." And baseball coach, maybe current, maybe former, said, you know, I don't like flying, and I love the beach, and I love the sun and sunshine, and I'm thinking about my retirement years, but I don't like flying in airplanes. How about building a highway to Hawaii, from Oregon to Hawaii? And the genie said, well, that'd be difficult. There's boatways, and there's environmental factors, and you know, lots of reasons. You know, the fish like swimming north and south. And is there anything else, you know, that you'd like me to grant? And the coach thought for a bit and said, yeah, can you give me any good reasons why a Medford school would have a halftime athletic director? And the genie said, you want that highway to be 1 lane or 2? I'm not sure why I'm up here. You know, maybe that alone is the reason. And if it is, that's good enough. You know, Tim talked about some of the conference championships and state championships that were won. I didn't coach any of those. But I can tell you the people that I cared about very much were the coaches and the players, the family that we built here in North Medford. As I look around the room and look you in the eyes, you know, I hope you know how much I love you. I hope over those 26 years and the last 3 that I haven't been at North Medford, you know that you are my family and that I care about you very much. There's some people out there I want to thank, people that have been my confidants and mentors. One of the things about being an athletic director, probably not unlike being a principal or superintendent, you're kind of alone on an island. There's not a team of math teachers to talk to in your building, so you got to rely on some friends to get you through stuff. There's some wise, very wise people in this room, some that aren't, some whose name I'm going to mention, some whose name I'm not, for good reasons. But I want to thank Steve Wisely for giving me a chance in 1991 and chances along the way to be a head basketball coach and athletic director for this place I love very much. Bruce Howell couldn't be here, is in Croatia. You know, he really instilled in me not only the North Medford way, but the Medford School District way about doing what you do and making the best decisions for kids. And I think that's what I've heard from our athletes and our coaches, but our athletes over and over again. Want to thank Gordy Croston, who's sitting here in front of me, good friend over the years, as well as an athletic director. One of our few of the Panthers that we have in the room, Dennis Murphy, who was a rival of mine on the basketball court and has turned into was a mentor of mine as an athletic director and an unbelievable, gracious, humble, giving friend. I want to thank Rod Rumry and all the rest of the Black Tornado coaches that taught me how to be a Black Tornado. I'm thinking of lifetime coaches like lifetime Black Tornado, like Scott Plankenhorn, like Tim Carrick, like Mike Maybin, who were Black Tornadoes as students and grew up and become Black Tornado coaches. I want to thank Ron Williams, who was with us for a year and was a great mentor of mine, a great support. I want to thank Jeff Mills, who I met through SOU as a professor, for the times we spent talking about not only the coaching and athletic director professions, but the teaching profession and the administrative profession. You know, I can't help but be moved by people like David Faitete. He always talked from the heart, talked about family, and talked about what athletics mean to folks. And I was a math teacher for 14 and a half years, including that last year. So academics are very important to me. Here's what I know is that I did a study, in fact, with Eric Lathan, my boss at North Valley now, the principal at North Valley. We did a 3-year study of students at North Medford and North Valley High School. And what we found is if a kid is involved in any kind of after-school extracurricular activity involved with the school, so not just athletics, band, choir, drama, etc., they graduate our two schools anyway at a rate of 94%. If they are not involved, in an after-school activity, they graduate at a rate of 47%. So, are activities and athletics important to the kids in our community? Yes. Yes, they are. Dr. Champion, hearing good things about you. Haven't got to meet you directly. I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I am glad they didn't hire you half-time. It's a big job you got. I'm glad the guy sitting next to you, Dan Smith, principal at North Medford, is not a halftime principal. David Phi Tete deserved better than a halftime football coach. The coaches and athletes of Medford schools, North and South, deserve better than a halftime athletic director. Last couple folks I want to talk about is my family. I do want to thank my family for being here from, I've got a brother-in-law and a sister from North Carolina that came. I've got a niece from Montana and a sister from Spokane. I want to thank them for being here. I want to really thank Jesse and Kasey. Jesse is the quieter daughter from Remember the Titans. One of the biggest sport fans, learned that, and I love the folks in the school, and you just heard I love Dennis Murphy, but we don't wear blue in our house. So she grew up not wearing blue. She understands that and fully embraced it until she went to OIT. Now she wears blue. But unbelievably supportive of all things Black Tornado. And then there's my wife, who is an unbelievable #1 fan of Tim Sam #1, but of Black Tornado #2. If you don't believe me, we still go to some games, and anytime there's a call against the Black Tornado, there's no way it's the Black Tornado's fault, it's the referee's fault. I can tell you that I'm not sure that I deserve the support that they both gave me, because there were times that I was at a field, in a court, in a pool area, when I'm missing something in their lives. And I want to thank them for being a part of mine and being at the games and contests and always making me feel supported. Thank you, Black Tornado family. I love you. Go Black Tornado.
Taylor Schmidt plays it from the heart. Quick to give so much appreciation to her teammates, to her coaches, to the administration, to her family and friends, to so many who helped her during her long career. Highest on the list are Mike and Kasey Maybin, who made it like a special family. Also to Rod Rummery and Greg Winter, who helped her so much along the way. From starting as a freshman to the state championship softball game in Corvallis in 2009 against Sunset. Along the way, and for just over 10 years, we're a special group of softball standouts who played together and stayed together. Together as age 10 and under players, together again as 12 and under, and again as 14 and under, and then for Tornado softball. Behind the scenes of all this was a very special day in 2009. Taylor had pitched every inning for the previous 4 playoff games, but this day was different. It was not only Championship Saturday, it was also graduation day, where Taylor was one of the co-valedictorians, and she was scheduled to present at commencement. Of course, the game went into extra innings. Until the Tornado won the state title 4-3. But Taylor and her teammate, Brittany Griffer, had the choice to either head home in a private car, make it to commencement in plenty of time, or stay with their teammates and take the bus. Taylor and Brittany chose to take the bus. Arriving home just barely in time from the ceremony for Taylor's valedictory presentation. But just so you know, the rest of the story, underneath the black robe with the red sash, was a very dirty and smelly sophomore uniform. Okay? Please welcome Taylor Schmidt.
I didn't know I was going to speak tonight either, but I'll keep it short and sweet. I just want to say thank you to the committee. I'm completely honored. I want to say thank you to my dad for taking me to every pitching lesson that I ever went to with Duke, and also missing, gosh, a handful of games out of probably thousands. My friend Amanda, who caught just about every bullpen I ever threw from 7th grade on. In 7th grade, I had a class with her brother Hayden, and he goes, "My sister plays softball. She's a catcher." And I was like, "Oh, well, she should come out and play." And he's like, "Yeah, she knows what she's doing." So we go, I get her phone number, and she comes to meet me, and she's like, "I'll catch you." Well, first of all, she can't even see. She had the thickest glasses I've ever seen. And Coach Duke is like an eye doctor, of course, and he's like, "I think she can't even put the mask on." Long story short, after hundreds of bullpens, she became my catcher from 7th grade on, and never missed one and never complained about it. I remember we'd go pitch in the freezing cold for about 15 minutes. We'd go warm up our hands, and we'd go back out there, and she never complained once. And to the Maybins for truly making it a family affair. I can't count how many times Kasey brought out the crock pot and had both Taylor and Mia out there, and she had dinner cooking in the team room for her family for after practice. And Coach Rumry, I don't have enough time to say all the funny stories I have of you. I loved going to practice every day. And of course, Coach Binney and Greg Winter. I'm completely blessed to be up here. And I remember last year even, I told my husband, I said, "I'm going to go watch North in the spring break tournament." And it's, of course, during the work day. But I was like, "I'm going to go." And he's like, "You're going by yourself?" And I was like, "I'm never alone at a North Medford softball game." So that's completely the family that we've all talked about tonight. So thank you. I'm completely blessed. Thank you.
Here's my longtime friend, fellow broadcaster, via video, because Jerry's a little busy right now. Please welcome Jerry Allen by video.
Hi, I'm Jerry Allen, currently voice of the Oregon Ducks up in Eugene, previously voice of the Medford Black Tornado, and a longtime resident born and raised in the Rogue Valley, and being given the honor of talking about the accomplishments of a young man I've known for a very long time. And I'll still say young man because he's younger than I am. Andy Bora, congratulations on the award you're about to receive. Just looking back on you and what you've accomplished and what you've done, and I've only got about 90 seconds here, so I'm actually going to try to read some of these. They're worth hearing. When you talk about his athleticism, this is it. Griffin Creek Elementary, that's where he started. McLaughlin Junior High, mid-high, that's before everybody was grouped into the high schools. Medford Senior High class of 78, National Honor Society member, 77, 78. Doggone if I didn't get to call his games in high school. That's how old I am and how young he is. He lettered in football, 76 and 77, two-year starter, all-conference first team in 77 as a linebacker. And back in those days, you played both ways. The next year, he was second team, or actually the same year, second team defense or offense as a fullback. Played both ways. That's when men were men. How did you ever fit into that, Andy? All-state first-team defense in 1977. Selected to the Shrine team. Shrine Game South team best lineman in 1978. High school basketball, two-year letterman, starter senior year. High school track and field, all-conference, 77, 76, 77, and 78. Then a full ride to Oregon. A Duck, four-year letterman, three-year starter. 1979 and 80, by the way, were the first winning seasons Oregon had in roughly a decade. Now, that's not research I did. That's what Andy inserted. Really, Andy? Four career interceptions, one game alone, Kansas, 13 tackles, one interception. Andy was a man. He graduated with a business management degree in 4 years. Not going to talk about family. Married to Debbie for 40 years. Wonderful kids, great family, brothers, sisters, new mom. Talk about that. They are an important part of your life. They are where you are today and what you accomplished. 32 and a half years with Lane Transportation District in Eugene. 3.5 years with Travel Lane County. He's volunteered and, Leadership Council, Rotary Club, Lane County Football Officials Association, still doing that. All those numbers and all those accomplishments do not begin to tell you about the man who has touched thousands of lives. In his career, he has made people's lives better. Working for Lane Transit, he gave people an opportunity to get where they needed to go. He has touched probably more lives than he ever dreamed a man could, and he's still going. He is Andy Bora. Proud to know this man. And Andy, thank you for giving of your life to so many, and thanks for the great memories on the field of sports.
All right, I'm the one standing between you and leaving. When Larry told me that it was going in alphabetical order, I thought, good Lord, what am I going to talk about? Everybody's probably said everything, but hearing the stories tonight brought back so many memories. It's been truly a blessing to hear about all these great stories and all the people who have come before us, and it's really an honor to be here. Jerry mentioned football officiating. I did my first game last night. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now, and got to call David's games. And even Coach Rummery might not remember this, but I got a few headlines back when I was playing, but probably one of the biggest headlines when I was a referee of a North Medford-South Salem game, and I called 3 roughing the punter calls against Coach Rummery's team in that playoff game. And he came out of the field, and to his honor, he's a respectful man. I don't think he actually got any words out. I could see he was a little bit excited about that, but still stand by those calls, so stick with that. I do want to thank the committee. I appreciate this honor very much. I want to thank Ed Singler for nominating me. I want to thank my family who are here, Bert and Tony Putney, my in-laws, my sister, who should be on the Wall of Fame and will be one day as well as a great Medford athlete, and my wife, as Jerry said. I probably don't even need to say anything. He kind of said most of it. My wife of 40 years, Debbie, for all their support. I also, as many have mentioned, want to thank my parents who aren't with us anymore. They supported my older brother, myself, and my sister in all the ways that we've heard about tonight, the great parents here who support their athletes. And it wasn't just in athletics, it was in academics, it was in 4-H, it was in all those opportunities that we had. One of the most vivid memories I have of my dad was playing Babe Ruth baseball, and that field wasn't as nice as Miles Field. And my dad, I think, wore out 3 walk behind lawnmowers mowing that by hand. If they had Fitbits back then, he would have set some sort of step record, I'm sure. I'm glad Mr. Miles mentioned Dick Fosbury. If you haven't read the book by Bob Welch, The Wizard of Oz, I mean, I really encourage you to do that. And Bob's a friend of mine in Eugene. He's a great author. But what was so gratifying, if you haven't read that, is his talking about Medford athletics and the community and how they surround people. So that was a great part of that book. And as Jerry mentioned, I started at Griffin Creek. And as Russ said in his comments, forward to Friday nights and going before those lights and seeing those crowds of 8,000 and 10,000 people. And one of the interesting stories that came to mind from one of those nights was after those games, as young kids, you know, you always want to go out on the field and kind of be out there where those guys were out playing. And for the old timers, I don't know that it's this way any longer, but for the old timers, they'll remember that there was a cable that went around the inside of the track around the field, and my buddy and I were racing across the field towards mid-high when suddenly I was thrown through the air like a slingshot, just threw me backwards, and next thing I know I couldn't breathe and I was laying on the ground. So I'm not sure anybody else had one of those stories, but that was one of the highlights of going to a Medford football game. I don't know who ever put black casing on a cable around the field, but they probably could have come up with something a little better. We've talked a lot about the great coaches, Spiegelberg, Roland. I'd add Coach Benson, since I was in track and field, was a tremendous coach. Spieg was a lot like Coach Brooks at the university. Very highly respected, knew his business, but a tough guy, but a fair guy. And he would never let you speak, would never let you get full of yourself. My senior year, I fractured a bone in my leg early in the season. I played for 6 weeks until I just couldn't play any longer. And then they casted it, and my teammates went on to win the first 2 rounds of the playoffs while I watched. And then I got the cast off, and we were to go back to Pendleton for the second time that year. We played them in preseason and then met them in the semifinals. And I went out to practice after having this cast on, and I just couldn't run. My ankle was all frozen up, and I still remember Speed coming up to me on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, and it's basically looking me in the eye and saying, you either practice or you're staying home. And, you know, you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I'm all conference in 2 different positions, and you can't leave me home. And it's like, no, that's the way it was. You were out there as part of the team practicing, and it didn't matter if you were all conference or not. He was going to put the best players on the field, and he was going to bring home a state championship, which we almost did. We got a tie, so, you know, we know about ties, I guess, around here. And it was the last time that there ever was a tie in a state championship. But that was a great lesson from great coaches. It's really important. And coaches also have the opportunity, as we've heard tonight, and teachers and parents to influence young people by how they act, what they say, and how they say it. A really vivid story. The defensive coordinator at Oregon when I was being recruited was a guy named Andy Kristoff. And I was up on a recruiting visit, and he had my transcript in the office there, and he was looking at it, and I think he was probably just joking around, but he looked at it and said, huh, you don't really look all that smart. And so, you know, those kind of comments, you know, for kids, you can go kind of 2 different ways with that. For me, it just stuck right there, and I thought to myself, okay, well, we'll show you. And I worked really hard, and to my parents' pleasure, graduated in 4 years and was named to the all-academic team. So very proud moment for all of us. I'll just end by saying a big thank you to my teammates. Great teammates, some of them here tonight, a lot of them not here. You know, it's just the memories that come back of playing multiple sports, and I echo the comment earlier, I think it's so important to play multiple sports. It's just been a real honor to be around such great athletes, great coaches, and such a great community here in Medford. Thank you very much.
Special thanks to some special people, to the committee and our chair, Larry Binning, to Ralph Burrell, to Patrick Grady, to Hall of Fame member Jim Mafferty, to Hall of Fame member Gary Miller, to Tim Sam, and also to Hall of Fame member Jim Wise, and special thanks from the committee to Ed Singler for some special help behind the scenes. As we conclude tonight, we go off script. Just want to ask you a question. Someone will ask you tomorrow or tonight when you get home or Monday when you go back to work. And they'll say, well, how was the ceremony? And your answer would be, gosh, it was just absolutely terrific. There was an amazing group of people who gathered together to celebrate success. And they did it humbly. They did it with gratitude. They did it thankfully. They did it graciously. They did it with respect. But most of all, everything tonight came from the heart. And when you give and give and give from the heart, it will always go right. The one message I also hope you could take home with you tonight has been said repeatedly, and I'd like to say it finally. Create an environment where we can do right for the kids. Thank you all. God bless and good night.